As the King holiday is celebrated with many people in Washington beginning their day at the King Monument. Barack Obama, the nation's first president with a mix of races that includes both European American and African American, is being inaugurated for the second time. As the students would say, this proves that he's not a one-off. He's the real thing. It's an august day that finds us here in Berea in august company. We have the Human Rights Commission of Berea in our midst today, preparing to participate in our upcoming march. We have the Bereans for Fairness here as well. Yay! All right, all right. Bringing their wise and abundant energy and sense of justice. And so everybody who needs to be here is here, amen? Amen. Amen. As Archbishop Edmund Tutu likes to say about such gatherings as this, it's just neat. It's just neat. My friends, on January 1st of this year, just 3 weeks ago tomorrow, with a simple seeming turning of the calendar page, you and I, all of us, were ushered into the 50th anniversary year of one of the most trying, one of the most testing, one of the most tumultuous years of USA peacetime history. There have been war years that were more wearing. There have been war years that were worse, but never before without a declaration of war within or without does America twist and turn, produce profundity and spit up blood, as it did in 1963. In March or in April of 1963, sit-ins were held in Birmingham, Alabama. Arrested in the sit-ins, King in April writes his now famous letter from a Birmingham jail. In March, Birmingham's so-called Director of Public Safety, Eugene O'Connor, orders the use of fire hoses and police dogs on peaceful demonstrators who included children. Within days, the United States Supreme Court declares Birmingham's segregation ordinances unconstitutional. In June, Alabama Governor George Wallace tries to stop court-ordered integration of the University of Alabama by personally standing in the doorway and refusing to move. He does not back down until the United States President John F. Kennedy federalizes the Alabama National Guard and sends them to the campus to get their governor. In June, Medgar Evers, head of the NAACP in Jackson, Mississippi, is shot dead in the driveway of his home with his wife and children just steps away. His widow, Merle Evers Williams, will deliver the invocation at the inauguration today. August brings the March on Washington, 250,000 people in the National Hall, and King's incomparable I Have a Dream speech. But in September, the Ku Klux Klan bombs the 16th Street Baptist Church in Birmingham, killing 4 little girls, 314 and 111. And then in November, President Kennedy is assassinated while riding in a motorcade in Dallas, Texas. If ever there has been a year to remember who we are and what built this, if ever there has been a time to understand that just as our spiritual freedom has been bought at a price, the beginnings of our political freedom, our shared and coveted struggle for equality, carry enormous price tags as well. If ever there has been a moment to put a pin in our past in order to put a purpose in our present, this is that day. It's not a question of why we march. It's a question of why we must march. To remain seated through this day would be to desecrate the echo of a time made sacred by sacrifice beyond knowing or imagining. To lay up and stay in would be to refuse to listen to the call of human dignity and possibility that claims its greatest moments when we come together for good. To extend weekend leisure into this day would be to miss our moment to receive the journey of endurance and determination, courage and obedience to calling that must be continued in our lifetimes in order to be made fully manifest. The Civil Rights Movement had a marching tradition that included a 50-mile march from Selma, Alabama to the capital Montgomery in 1965. We marched because Berea, Kentucky has that marching tradition. Berea, Kentucky has that marching tradition. Going back not just to 1963, but even before. We have persons working and living in Berea right now who remember and can say what it was like to march right here in Kentucky and a different day than today. Virgil Burnside, first a Berea College student, now a member of the city council and a Berea College administrator is one of them. Virgil says, I remember our first march. A black man had been shot and killed under alarming and concerning circumstances. Virgil remembers blacks and whites, people of different backgrounds coming together. He remembers walking in hostility and danger and opposition, and he remembers what he learned. You have to learn to live out, Virgil says. You got to live out. Don't withdraw. The people you think are your enemy can be your ally. So you keep the door open. Don't be the one to shut it. We march on behalf of an open door. A march is an open door, beloved. Anyone can see, anyone can join, and anyone can benefit. We march because there are still good reasons to march. There are still many things, countless things worth marching for. In Kentucky, we understand that it takes time sometimes for opportunities, economic opportunities, and educational opportunities, and health and wellness opportunities to find their way to all the places where they are needed. In Kentucky, we understand the communication between people can stall out in patterns of verbal abuse and drive-by trash talk and bad behavior that sullies our lives together like literally looking for a can. So we march because we have still not gotten to where we want to be together. And we march because injuring any of us injures all of us. And we march because we intend to stay on record saying, we who believe in freedom will not rest until it comes. Nevertheless, we march today thoughtfully, mindful of King's own words regarding those who don't get it, and those who aren't feeling it, and those who don't want to support it. Love is the only force capable of transforming an enemy into a friend. We place this march into the loving hands of transformational power and commit ourselves to being peace on feet as we go our way. And we march because walking still makes a statement. In this motorized land, in this get there fast, leave there first society, in this, oh, don't let me be found doing anything exceptional unless it's expensive, we march because we're not too cool for school. We march because we don't mind taking to the sidewalks in a group. We march because walking at a pace that suits everybody from the girls to the grannies is fine with us. We march because we're going to sing whether we can sing or not. And we march because we like to smile at puzzled passers-by and say, it's all right. We just march. It's going to be all right. We march because we are glad to get behind a banner that proclaims, I'm with them. Marching says we really do know how to vote with our feet. Marching says, I don't think I won't come over there. And marching says we know who we are. We are people who can change this world for good. We march because it's old and it's new. It's uncountable how many marches have there been. It's something we can do for free, and it's something we can do for freedom. As the song says, God's truth goes marching on. When we march, we are accompanying the truth of the Most High on its way, active and intervening in this world. When we march, we get to know this truth. We know it, and it makes us free. So it's not a question of why we march, it's a question of why we must march. We will march because this is a march right moment. It is right to march, and we have a right to march. Is it inconvenient to march? Absolutely. That's the point. Marching says it's not about you, it's not about me, it's not about the enemy, it's about us, and it's also about them. All the thems, known and unknown, who need somebody to march for them. Those who are ill and on a search for help, those who are incarcerated and on a search for a second chance, those who are disappointed and discouraged, so much so that they resent the opportunities that are given to others, and those who are trying to travel the road to democracy and find only potholes, those in struggles for citizenship, those who are still falling short of full dignity within their own families and full rights in the larger society. We march because those who see us marching, whoever they are, whatever our banner says, can look and decide, oh, they're marching for me, and be encouraged. So, we march because King had a marching tradition. We march on behalf of the open door. We march because we have still not gotten to where we want to be together. We march because it says we know ourselves to be people, and so we march. Now, I have 3 questions for you, my friends. I hope you will find one good, strong word that will answer each of these 3 questions. Do we know why we march?
Yes.
Are we willing to march?
Yes.
Are we ready to march?
Yes.
So let me hear you say, we are Berea, and so we march. We are Berea.